I'm out on the Redington Long Pier today with Captain Eddie Harrington, and we're going to be using a fishing technique called the outrider or zip line technique. Today our target is kingfish. This zip line or outrider technique can also be used for tarpon and really a lot of other species, but those are the two that the expert anglers here along the west coast of Florida, those are the two target fish, kingfish and tarpon, that they mainly focus in on using this zip line technique. Eddie, when you come out to the pier, what's the first thing you got to do? I mean, you pick a spot on the rail somewhere, and then what do?
You set a piece of PVC pipe up on the rail. This holds your rod or your outrigger.
How big is that, Eddie?
That is about, it's right at 5 foot high. And what this is going to do is going to give your rod some height, and it's going to give like an arc for your zip line.
Okay. Now, after we get up against the rail, we get our pipe and use bungee cords, lock it in there real good, just like this. And what's the next step, Eddie, in getting your zip line set up?
Okay, what I'm going to do is I've got a spinning rod here. It's a big reel. It's got a lot of line on it. And I've got a sinker, a swivel, and I've got a treble barb hook right there to hang up something out there on the bottom, okay. A rock or whatever happens to be out there that I can hang up.
Show us what you do with it now. Okay. You cast it out just as far as you can throw it.
I'm gonna throw it just as far as I can throw it out there,
and try to hang on the bottom,
so I can fish different lengths from close to the pier or way out from the pier, depending on where the fish are at. All right, I'm gonna sling it out.
And this setup that Eddie's using right here,
it's way out,
is the basis for setting up the zip line. This is the zip line that we're setting up right here.
And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this thing along the bottom until I hang up. I'm going to pull my rod downward like this, and I'm just going to bump it along until I hit some solid bottom. I found some bottom out there. Now I'm going to make sure that's good and solid because I don't want it just popping off the bottom randomly. Okay, I'm good and solid with that. I'm going to give it some line. And I'm going to tuck this under my reel so I can work with it. I'm going to sit the rod in the PVC.
Now, at this point, we're set up. We're ready to go. We need bait, and we're going to get to that in a minute. Now the next step is the tackle that we're going to use for these kingfish here today. Eddie, show us what you've got tackle-wise, rod, reel, line, etc.
Okay, I got a good rod, good heavy-duty rod. I like an 8'6" or 9-foot rod.
What kind of reel are you going to put on that, Eddie?
This reel is just a good quality reel.
3 or 4/0 high-speed reel.
Yep, 3 or 4/0 high-speed reel, and 350 or 400 yards of line. You can fish with a smaller reel and use smaller line. I like the 50-pound test in case the fish tries to shoot the pier on you. You can stop him.
Okay. What about your leader?
Okay, this is a wire leader. It's tied to my swivel, and this is a long leader. We use that in case the fish wraps around the pilings and it won't cut you off. We use a long steel leader for that reason.
So that's a 6-foot leader, and that feels like about what, number 5 wire or something like that?
That's about a number 5 wire, yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is.
And then how about your hook setup?
Okay. This is my lead hook up front. The bottom one's called a stinger. Okay, now I've tied my main line onto the swivel. I use a double loop. I tie a double knot and it gives me a loop. And that's to put the clothespin in for my zip line.
Eddie, show us how you set up the clip here. This is we've got one part of the zip line out now. Let's put the other part together with it.
Okay. What I've got here is a snap swivel. I've got a sinker and I have a clothespin. Now this clothespin has got a rubber band around it right here to strengthen the bite. Sometimes we use a 3-pound mackerel or 2-pound live mackerel, Spanish mackerel, for these kingfish, and you have to have a pretty firm grip on your tag end of your leader. I'm gonna set this up right now, then we'll get a bait. I'm gonna put it on my zip line, and I'm gonna attach it to the tag end of my leader, which is a loop right here. It's on there. It's not real easy to snap off. Okay, this is a grunt. He's a pretty good size grunt. He's probably 6-inch grunt. We're going to use this right now to start with. We do use live Spanish mackerel, 2 to 3 pounds. Ladyfish, 12, 14-inch ladyfish.
Blue runners and stuff like that.
Blue runners are great.
How do you hook that, Eddie?
Okay, I'm going to take this lead hook and I'm going to hook it right ahead of the dorsal fin on this grunt. It'll go right in just like that. And this stinger will lay alongside that grunt while he's swimming. And we're going to run him right out there right now. I'll dry my hands off. You got to have your fish rag on your pipe.
Ed, let's check that bait a minute.
You got his,
Double hook.
you got his
Okay.
tail hung up.
All right, now it's clear.
I'm letting this out with my thumb. And what I want to do actually is get out from the pier a little bit. So I'm going to turn the handle on this reel and it raises the zip line. Just raising it up. I'm going to take it out of gear and I'm going to free spool it to fish out further.
And the lead on top of the clothespin, as you tighten up the zip line, it slides out away from the pier. It gives you the weight and get the momentum moving down the zip line out further away from the pier. And you just, whenever you get to, is there a certain distance you like, Eddie, or how do you know when to stop?
I like that area right there for kingfish this time of year because they seem to feed off of the pier.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come down the side of the pier, they normally, depending on which way the tide's pulling, the tide is going out right now, so they'll be coming from the north. They'll be feeding down the north side of the pier, and they'll cut to the left. And that's a good hit zone right there. And that other rig is a good hit zone. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this rod on the rail. I'm going to take this piece of tie rope. It's got a loop in it. And I'm going to run it over the foregrip of my rod. And I'm going to bring it under the rail. This piece of rope is going to go in the loop. I'm going to pull it up tight. And I'm going to pull the loop on top of the rod. Take some of the slack out of the loop and I'm going to double this rope. Put it through the loop. And then I'm going to pull this part of the rope and push down on it. This will tighten it up and secure it to the rail. The fish cannot pull this off the rail. What will happen when I get a hit? It will pull drag and this main line will pop off of that clothespin. The clothespin and sinker will drift towards the bottom. The fish will be on the main line, which is on this rod. The fish is pulling drag now. And what I'm going to do is lift up on the foregrip of my rod and pull the loop knot out of the rope. You don't hook set a kingfish, you just let him run. I use about a 3-finger drag on a kingfish, which is right at 3 or 4 pounds of calibrated drag, and just hang on.